Hello, and welcome back to Something Starts Ringing Tarot. My name is Ryan, and today I'm going to lead you through my entire tarot deck collection and show you some of my favorite cards from each deck. I will have all the links to the card or the decks in the description box below, and I will have timestamps hopefully if you want to just skip ahead and see which decks I like or which cards I like in a specific deck. That'll be in the description as well. Today I'm going to go in chronological order of when I got the decks. So if you want to see my most recent purchases, stick around to the end and you'll see some special decks that kind of go with this time of year. I also wanted to just film this video now so that I have a record for myself of what I have in my collection at this time, because I know it's going to change and evolve throughout the years. Deck collection videos are one of my favorite videos to sit and watch while I'm doing other things. So if you have a snack, if you have a drink, just sit back, relax. This is going to be a little bit of a long one, but enjoy my deck collection, and I'm excited to show it to you. The first deck I ever purchased was the Rider Tarot deck. This is the classic yellow box that many people know. I did a lot of Google searching for kind of beginner tarot decks, first tarot decks, when I had no idea what tarot was, and this is the one I chose to purchase after a while considering. I just wanted to study the standard Rider-Waite-Smith first. So in this video I'm going to go through a few of my favorite cards from each deck, or specific cards that make these decks unique. So this is the back. Obviously it's the blue plaid that I know everyone loves. Alright, so this is the Rider Tarot deck. I included this card, the Five of Cups, because just the other day I was doing a reading and I noticed this thick black line going across the ground here. I never noticed that before in my time with this deck, and to me that almost makes it look like this figure is standing on a stage, like performing like a Shakespeare or some play, and then this is a backdrop, so that really kind of lends to a different interpretation of the cards. I'm going to try not to get into interpretations of the cards in this video, but I just wanted to show some of my favorites and explain why I like all the decks in my collection. Here's the Ten of Wands. I really like the Ten of Wands. It's one of my favorite cards in the tarot deck. And this was the first kind of exposure I had to that card. So the Six of Pentacles. I really like the primary color wardrobes or clothes that they have on. That really signifies a lot to me. The Seven of Swords comes up a lot for me. This is the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords comes up a lot for me, and this was the first exposure I had to that, and so I wanted to include it. I really like this Lovers card. It has all of the colors in this Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, including the purple and the red and the bright yellow that I personally really like. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I personally really like the bright yellow. It has the green, it has the oranges, it has the whites. So I just really like how this Lovers card kind of encompasses all of that color. And then I'm going to be showing the Temperance card in every deck. That is my favorite card in the tarot, and I just want to highlight it for every deck that I own. All right. The next deck that I purchased was the Lightseers Tarot by Chris Ann. Again, this is a very popular deck. This is mass market. I know many people have it, many people enjoy it, but this was my second deck. And so I'm going to show a few of my favorite cards from it. So I'm showing cards from each suit and then the majors of each of my decks. So this is the Six of Cups. It's one of my favorites. It's just so loving and kind of remembering your childhood. This is a really fun Page of Cups. It's very silly, very weird, very kind of just makes me laugh. So I think that fits the Page of Cups really well. I really like this Three of Wands with the purples and the pinks and just the overall majestic vibe of stepping into your own adventure. Six of Wands, a unique take being on the stage. Knight of Pentacles, I really like this one because he's leaving behind some of the pentacles as he's slowly walking without the horse. So he's kind of like making a difference in his community, planting his seeds in the ground or in the community around him and making a difference by kind of reinvesting his money or reinvesting his time back into the community that helped him grow into the knight. This is a beautiful Five of Pentacles. I really like the keyhole and the key in this one to show that this person could just go in this door and ideally get safety or comfort that they are lacking at the moment. Here's the Page of Swords, a very fun take on it. In this deck, a lot of the swords have the raven or crow representing the swords, but in this card it's kind of a freedom of thought, a freedom of new thoughts, new energy. So I really like it. Very anxiety-filled Three of Swords. It's different than your typical Rider-Waite-Smith Three of Swords, so I wanted to highlight it. But it still has the crossed swords on her tattoo down here, so that's kind of a cool feature. This is one of my favorite Hierophant cards. I really like just his smile, his looking to the sky, just the enlightened feeling of this card without being the typical Pope religious feeling of the Rider-Waite-Smith. Here's the Devil. I really like the puppetry, kind of controlling aspect of this card. And Temperance. This is actually one of my favorite Temperance cards. I really like how you could interpret this person as male or female or non-binary or not representative of gender. That's one important thing to me in Temperance, is that the gender of the person is kind of up for interpretation or kind of balancing the elements of gender. So I really like how this one, it can be interpreted as different genders or neutral genders. All right, on to the next one. The third deck in my collection is the Tarot of the Divine Masculine, The Gate to the Secret Garden. This is by Philip and Marco Vasic, and this was my first indie deck purchase. It's hard to choose a favorite, but this is probably one of my favorites, so I've picked a few more cards to show in this one. I just think the scenes are so beautiful and really representative of the cards. So here's the beautiful Page of Cups. Here's the Seven of Cups. In this card, I really like how the naked body is covered up by the clouds and the person's looking down, kind of like confused or figuring out themselves, whether that means gender or personal decisions or things like that. You can interpret this person as different genders, as different representations of gender, and that really sticks out to me in this card. Especially being in a Divine Masculine deck, it kind of plays on that gender transition or figuring out in life, I guess. Page of Wands. I really like this beautiful figure and beautiful scene. Here's the Ace of Wands. Obviously, it's a very phallic card, but it really speaks to the masculine energy in this Divine Masculine deck. I just really think this card signifies the Ace of Wands in a very masculine, sexual, energetic way. Here's the Four of Pentacles. I like this one because he's not like curled up in a ball like a lot of decks holding his money. He's enjoying his money, but they're in a desert, so no one else around them has what they have or has the money that they have. So it's kind of still signifies that Four of Pentacles meaning, but in a different way that's very unique. Here's the Ace of Swords. I really like this one because it shows a younger figure kind of on the throne or about to be on the throne and kind of upsetting the system of tradition or traditional thought. It's kind of new thought, new energy in the midst of the background of the storms. This new character is kind of taking control of their thoughts. Here's the Knight of Swords. It's a very unique interpretation. To me, this kind of leans into the kind of kink play or kind of what's the word for it? Like queerness of the masculine. So there's the rainbow flag around him, and then he's riding this other person, which is a very interesting kind of kinky interpretation of the Knight of Swords. The Keeper of Swords, I just thought this figure is so fabulous. They're just confident in themselves, they're cunning, they're showing off their body, they holding themselves up by their thoughts and strong thoughts, and just proud of themselves. I love this Devil card. It's so creepy, and just the hands and the posture of this person. And then I really find it interesting that they are wearing high heels on this like cavernous, almost otherworldly area. Excuse me. Here's the Fool. I really think this is a fun Fool. It kind of starts out the whole deck showing kind of what it's going to be about. And specifically on the staff or the rod that he's holding, it has the male genitalia instead of a bag of supplies. So it's kind of like taking that with you. So I find that as like a fun little detail. I love this Moon card. It's very cheeky in a pun intended way. I really like how the butt is showing on the Moon card, kind of that mooning action, even though the Moon card isn't really normally a fun, like silly card. It just gives that little quirkiness to the Moon card, and I really like that. The Justice card in this deck is very interesting to me and actually comes up a lot. As you can see in this figure, the main figure in this card, or the Justice, is presenting as female in their top region. They have, at least traditionally, female breasts showing. So I just like that play on gender again, how it brings in the female in this Divine Masculine deck, and then their like middle region is covered up by this cloth, so you could interpret it as having whatever under it. So depending on the reading, you could see this figure as more masculine, more feminine, all the different things. And then having all these figures down here cowering or covering up their genitalia is kind of another symbol of kind of that justice, making decisions, making a choice that might not be like make you happy, but it's what happened. And then finally the Temperance card. This is again my favorite. Temperance is my favorite card in the tarot deck, so I'm going to show it in every deck. This is just a very peaceful scene. All right. The fourth deck in my collection is the This Might Hurt Tarot by Isabella Rotman. This is a great deck. I just heard that I believe it's going mass market. So this is the indie deck copy, but I believe it's being picked up mass market. So that's super exciting for Isabella. I know a lot of people have and really enjoy this deck. It has the typical Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, but done in a different way that's more inclusive, more diverse. These are the backs. I keep forgetting to show the backs of all the cards, but these are the backs. So here's the Six of Cups. I really like this one. It's a very kind of urban feel on the fire escape, but still the comforting energy of kind of providing for your community, making it more beautiful with that childlike energy. Excuse me. Here's a fun Page of Cups. I really like how they have the fish in the bag instead of a typical cup. So this person is like new to the idea of love, new to the idea of having a pet, or kind of a first pet, first energy of loving something else. They're very focused on that, and the fish is actually focused back on them. So I really like all those interpretations you can pull from this Page of Cups. The Nine of Wands in this deck really speaks, obviously, to the writer's block energy of the Nine of Wands. So kind of that final push, that final creative struggle to get your project done, things like that. So I really like how these pencils and pens and writing utensils are all chewed on to really show the struggle. This is the Two of Pentacles. In this picture, it's actually Isabella Rotman, the artist and creator of this deck herself. I really like how she brought herself and people she knows directly into this deck. In the guidebook, she goes through and explains all the people, who they are, what they mean to her, and kind of how they symbolize the specific card. So I wanted to highlight her in this deck, since that's a specific thing about this deck that makes it important. I like this Two of Swords because specifically of her jacket. To me, that kind of represents that she's in some sort of club, or she's joining some sort of club, or almost like a gang kind of feel. And this is like one of her final tests or initiations before she's like an official member. That's just how I read this card. She has two swords. She's practiced. She's done this before. She knows what she has to do, but she kind of has to complete this final test, this final decision before making it into the club. That might be different than what you see in this card, but that's kind of what I get. I absolutely adore this King of Swords. I really like that he's older and he's in a wheelchair, and it just signifies that he can do anything with his thoughts, and he's just so confident in who he's become, what his thoughts are. He's learned from his experience. His old age and his disability don't mean anything, and he's just confident and can send his like pet eagle or bird off to do his like physical delivering of the messages that he wants to share with the world. So I just think that's a beautiful representation of the King of Swords. The moon, very, very cool representation as well. I really like how it has the people in the card dressed as the wolf and the dog. Otherwise, it's a very traditional Rider-Waite-Smith with the crayfish or crab or lobster coming out of the sea, the black and the white on the side, the moon up here, and the path leading. But I really like how they have included people in this deck and kind of made it more personal, more human aspect of the animalistic side of yourself. Here's a great Justice card. I really like how they have the Ruth Bader Ginsburg collar on the Justice. That's really timely and kind of brings it to a modern feel. I also personally get Kamala Harris vibes from this person because she's black and just kind of part of the government system. So I really like how this is just a timely representative of kind of, I don't know what exactly Isabella meant by it, but clearly the necklace or the thing around her neck is representative of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but I really like how it just brings that modern government feel. And then this is one of my absolute favorite Temperance cards. Again, it kind of plays on the gender of the person in the card. You can interpret it as male or female or non-binary. And then I really like the pink wings and then the traditional symbolism of the typical Rider-Waite-Smith. But I really, really like this card. I've actually considered like enlarging it or getting a print of it somehow and putting it on my wall. I love this card so much. The fifth deck in my collection is the Art of Adventure Tarot, and this is by Bilal Lashari. This is one that I don't see too much on TarotTube or on the internet, but I saw some ads or something on Instagram. I'm not sure where I first saw this deck, but this is a very fun, unique deck, in my opinion, and so I just had to have it. It kind of, you'll see in the cards, but it goes into a lot of like otherworldly, kind of alien feeling, kind of fun interpretations of the Rider-Waite-Smith typical artwork. So here's some of the cards. This is the back. Here's the Four of Cups. I really like how he's just chilling, living his best life. Already gone through 3 drinks, but keeping him with him. And then this sea monster is kind of waking him up and showing him that there's another even more special drink with the lemon in it that he could take part in if he wants to. I love this Knight of Cups. It's just the over-the-top love, show-off love, everything you could possibly imagine to try to kind of please or impress someone else. So he's riding on a pink seahorse, which is holding a fish that has water coming out of their mouth. His fingers have the little fun water shooters. He has 3 roses. He has the cup. He's dressed as a sailor. So that just goes back to the water, the kind of night feel of water. He has the rose in his mouth. He has the flying fish behind him. He's just going for it. He knows what he wants, and he wants to impress that person that he loves. Excuse me. I really like this interpretation of the Eight of Wands. It reminds me of like riding a train car, holding up above your head, and just going with the action of the community, of everyone around you. Kind of making that commute, making that adventure upwards and onwards and forward. Here's the Eight of Pentacles. I really like how it's depicted as a jeweler making his gears, and even more so that the gears are placed in a way that kind of builds up his community, builds up the structure around him, that he is working on this major project and kind of perfecting it as he goes. Here's an interesting Five of Swords. I really like specifically this sword going through the middle of the center person. So it kind of shows that pain, even in the kind of victory or after your battle, that everyone has been injured, including yourself, maybe the most. Here's the Hanged Man. I really like the interpretation of the Hanged Man as a window cleaner. It's a very modern take, but it's just fun. He's comforted. He's just seeing life from a different perspective, but that's his job. He does it every day. He's comfortable, and he's just living his best life. Here's a great Hierophant card. I really like how they did the kind of hippie vibe in this one, with kind of like the love children and the master, yogi master, or whatever. It just gives that very fun, loving, but also the all-knowing kind of feel to the Hierophant. And here's my Temperance card that I enjoy in every deck. So I wanted to show it here. This is the alien or angel alien that kind of represents the divine throughout the entire deck. So I like that they included that as the Temperance angel. As I said before, I will have links to all of these decks in the description. All of my decks, I believe, at the moment, this is October 2022, are currently available for purchase. This next deck is the Sasuraitbito Tarot by Stasia Burrington. I said that all of my decks are available. This is the only one that may have a limited stock. I just saw that Stasia posted that this 8th edition is going low on stock on her Instagram. She does still have some of the 7th edition, that's the 2020 edition, but this one specifically is running low on stock, so I don't want to contribute to the FOMO, but I just wanted to let you know that this is one deck in my collection that may be going out of print. She has talked about potentially doing a 9th printing, so I believe that there is more printings coming, but I just wanted to mention that for this Sasuraitbito Tarot. So some of my favorite cards in this deck are the 8 of Cups. This one is just such a powerful image. It really speaks to that letting go of years and years and years of feelings of emotion by cutting off this person's hair and just kind of letting it go, letting that weight go, moving on from things that are not serving you anymore. So that's just a super powerful kind of intimate image that you're seeing. This is one of my favorite 9 of Cups. To me, the 9 of Cups symbolizes pride and being proud of your accomplishments, proud of your emotions, proud of yourself. And this one really speaks to the kind of body image aspect of that. So being proud of your body, what it looks like, what it feels like, what sensations you get from it. Just being proud overall of who you are, living in your heart instead of your mind. And just knowing that you're enough no matter what you look like, what you feel like, what you enjoy. This just is a very comforting, proud card. When I first got this deck, I thought this 3 of Wands was just a little too simple. I wasn't too impressed. But as I got deeper into the image and studying this deck, I noticed these shadows going out from the 3 Wands and going out from the campfire that's beneath it, or kind of as the person's perspective. So these shadows going all the way to the edge of the world kind of gives that expansion, going out into the world, like your effect taking effect and making a change in the world. So I really, really enjoy this 3 of Wands now that I've gotten deeper into it. It's a simple image, but it really has that expansion with these shadows going out. So I think that is a brilliant detail in this simple card. The 8 of Wands, in this card specifically, I like the intention of pulling back the bow and going forward and shooting out that energy, that action, actually making a choice to pull back the bow and go with the flow, go do something. Go make an action in the world. A beautiful Queen of Pentacles. This really speaks to like the fertility, comfort, kind of provided for aspect of the Queen of Pentacles. I really enjoy this Page of Pentacles. In the guidebook, Stasia talks about how this card symbolizes kind of making something out of nothing, or taking a simple object such as the piece of paper and using skills that you've learned to create something in the world or create something more complex or beautiful. So that Page of Pentacles, that new energy, new investment, just really kind of goes along with that. Origami, taking something that's simple and making something more complex. Here's the Ace of Swords. As you can see in this deck, a lot of the cards have bright or full color backgrounds or full color images. In this one, I really like how a lot of the image is like this dark smoke, this dark energy, and the Ace of Swords is breaking through that and showing the beautiful blue sky, almost like sunrise or sunset in the background, just kind of breaking through that darkness or tradition that's kind of holding you down. I love this Fool card. I just think it's brilliant that it's an old man living his best life, not wearing any clothes, only covered up by his big long beard after years of experience of just living his best life without any cares in the world. He knows he's done what he needs to do in life, just living it up and dancing in the flowers. Here's a very striking sun card. This is just beautiful and brilliant. It's simple, but it really speaks to the energy of soaking in the sun and living in the sun. And my Temperance card. I love this card specifically because it has the feathers or the wings represented on this person's arms and shoulders. So it speaks to that temperance angel of the typical Rider-Waite-Smith. It still has the mixing of the liquid, but this person looks like they've maybe just woken up, kind of beginning their day, doing their morning routine of making their coffee, and I just really like this card. All right, thanks for hanging with me. I have 5 more decks to go. These are some of my newer decks, so I'm getting there. The next one is the Tarot of the Secret Forest. This is a very unique deck in my collection. This is by Lucia Mattioli. I saw this deck online and kind of fell in love with the uniqueness. You'll see in a second, but this is a very foresty, fairy vibe deck, and I really enjoy it. So here are some of the cards. The very unique thing about this deck is that the fronts are full color, full art, beautiful cards. They actually kind of lend to different colors by the suits or majors. It's not exactly that, but it kind of has that vibe going throughout it. But then the unique thing about this deck is that it's actually double-sided. So the backs are black and white versions of each card, and it's almost like the artist's initial thoughts, initial drawings. So I'll show you some of those specifically. But here's the 9 of Cups, just a beautiful like koi pond. The 7 of Cups, very unique interpretation, but I really like it. Has like that mermaid feel. Here's the Pirate of the King of Cups. I really like that interpretation of being in the water, but controlled and sturdy and confident that he's the kind of king of the seas or pirate of the seas. I really like this 7 of Wands. I can see this card in many different ways. The first, I see it as kind of the king of the hill sort of game when you play as a kid. So trying to like be the one on top, being proud of yourself, kind of overcoming all the other people around you that might say that you're less than. I also see this as, if you view the 7 of Wands like single person as this white tomb or whatever that is, as kind of standing strong in the midst of all these other creatures or monsters or lizards or whatever kind of crawling all over you. This white just stands strong, stands the test of time. So I really like you can interpret this card in a couple different ways. This is a very interesting card to me. At first when I saw it, I thought it was kind of like muddied or single tone or kind of hard to see what was in the card. But when I looked at the back, it's very clear what's in the card. It's this person or this fairy in a tree being delivered or sending away a message with this bird. So I really like how the black and white image kind of gives a clarity to the colored image on this side. Here's the 10 of Swords, probably the creepiest card in the deck. It has the spider surrounded by a lot of different spiders or little creatures. But then on the back, it's very clear that it is a swarm or a colony of ants that are either with the spider or taking over the spider as its like final act. So I really like that interpretation of the 10 of Swords. Here's the Sun card. It's very presentational, very living in the sun, very expressive with the big wings, big kind of fans going out. I find it interesting that on the back, the two characters are actually embracing and looking at each other. So it kind of leads to a different interpretation of the sun on the back. So you can use kind of either side, or I've even seen people that mix up, like shuffle back and forth to flip over different sides of the cards. And here's the Temperance card. I really like this one. Just the play on the black and white wings, the mixing of elements, and just the overall vibe of this card. All right, the next deck in my collection is the Star Tarot. This is a very interesting deck and has a great guidebook. So this deck is full of color, full of symbology, but it really goes into every detail of every symbol on the card in the guidebook. So I really appreciate that and just find that I really enjoy this deck. So this is the backs. It has the big star. I want to point out, I didn't point out this in a lot of my decks, but this one is almost reversible, but not quite, because the star pattern is not quite symmetric. So if that bothers you, it's not quite symmetric, but it works. Like, you can't really tell, so it's kind of an in-between of reversible or not. Here's the Six of Cups. I just love this rainbow unicorn with the children riding away, riding over the 6 lotuses or flowers here. A great interpretation of the Five of Cups with the rainbow and the butterflies behind this person, but they're pouring all of their energy, all of their thoughts, all of their emotions into the 3 spilled cups. Great Four of Wands. When I was first looking at this card, I didn't even notice these fairies up in the trees. So it's kind of that mix of community, that mix of celebration and abundance. Great interpretation of the Six of Pentacles. I really like how this is a Native American, Native person, indigenous person, symbolized on the Six of Pentacles, kind of saying, where do you put your money? Where do you put your resources? What's important to you about making the world a better place, making the community around you a better place, thinking of those that maybe you've taken some from in the past. I haven't read the specific interpretation in the guidebook about this, but that's just what I pick up, of kind of using all of your resources, using every part of the animal when you're kind of cooking or making a meal or something like that. Just really being aware of how you spread your resources around to positively affect those around you. A great Eight of Pentacles. To me, I see these as like the hands of God, or the hands of kind of an ultimate master of their craft. This is kind of, to me, it symbolizes like the world or the universe almost, and just every creature around it. And this person or God is just kind of the master of their craft. They're practiced, they know what they're doing, they are affecting their community with their expertise. Here's the Seven of Swords. I need to get into the interpretation of this a little bit more in the guidebook, but it really stuck out to me as one of the sword cards I wanted to highlight. It's just very different interpretation. There's the reflection or the other figure in the water here, and then the swords around them. Great Tower card. I really like the volcano as the tower, and just the lightning going all the way down to the base, cracking all the way down, really exploding the entire tower volcano. And then I really like the symbolism of the dove with the, I think it's a fig branch. That reminds me, or brings up in my head, the Noah's Ark story of kind of the promise of new life, new safety after a big disaster. I wanted to highlight this Empress card because it really goes into it really shows kind of the detail of this deck and the color of this deck. There's just so much symbolism with the moons and the turtle and the swans and the fairies and the deer and the earth energy in the middle of her, the butterfly wings, her hair, the eagle up here carrying the star, the two trees. It's just so much symbolism, so much to find in these cards. It's so beautiful. And then here is one of my favorite temperance cards. As you can probably tell on my channel, I really like the rainbow energy, the rainbow colors. So this one is a very rainbow temperance. And again, to me, you can interpret the gender of this person as you wish. All right, these last three decks are brand new to me. I've only walked through them myself a couple times, so I don't have a lot of interpretation too much on the cards, but they're brand new to me and I'm just excited to start working with them, but they are part of my collection, so I wanted to highlight them. The first is the Spectrowhirl Tarot. This is by Benjamin Allen Simon, and this is actually the second edition. I have a full walkthrough of this deck on my channel. It's actually the previous video. I wanted to highlight this deck more because I don't think this second edition is getting as much attention as it deserves on TarotTube. So I wanted to highlight it and just show a full walkthrough so you can see all of the cards on that walkthrough, but I'm going to show a few cards that I really enjoyed or really stuck out to me in my first couple pass-throughs this deck. Here's the Two of Cups. I really like the mixing of the energy, the different colors, the energy, and kind of spilling into the togetherness of the card. Here's the Five of Cups. I really like the rainbow background going into the black. There's many interpretations you could come up with that. Here's the Five of Wands. As I said in my walkthrough, I really like how even though this is a pip deck, so there's just 5 wands pictured here, with the color, with the directions, with the energy that's coming from each wand, you can feel that conflict of the card. Beautiful Two of Coins. This is a unique card in this deck. It has the black and white as kind of the main feature. All the other ones, as you can see, are very rainbow, very colorful. But this one has that black and white, almost Twilight Zone spiral of your mind highlighted, and that's a great Eight of Swords. Here's the Knight of Swords. I really like the energy of this sword kind of crashing into the border of the card and making this rainbow explosion. Great Magician card, has all of the elements represented that you would normally see, such as the wand, the cup, the pentacle, and then the sword stabbing through everything, and they're all together building up one energy, one new creation, new development in your world. Here's a great Lovers card. I like how it's two trees kind of intertwined and raining down together. I like how this still has the apple and the snake and the fire symbolism that is in the typical Rider-Waite-Smith image. And then another favorite part of this card is this rainbow heart border around the top with the divine energy coming from the heart. So I just really like that. And then this is the Temperance card. It's beautiful Temperance, pouring the water from one container into the other, creating this butterfly with the rainbow in the background. Just a beautiful Temperance card with the water and the sun and the flowers around. It's just really beautiful. All right, we're down to the last 2 decks. The next one I have to show you, this is another brand new deck to me. It's called the Shadowscapes Tarot. This is an older deck. It's been published for many, many years, but I just found it on TarotTube and decided that it was for me. It's a very ethereal, fairy type environment, so I don't have any other ones like that in my collection. I guess the Tarot of the Secret Forest is probably the closest, but this is a very different fairy vibe than that. So I've only gone through this deck once, as the first time I went through it. I haven't studied it at all, so these are just some of the cards that came up in my first walkthrough of this deck. Here's the Six of Cups. I really enjoy how it's like a little tea party with the teddy bears. The beautiful Queen of Cups. I really like how this blue, majestic blue stands out, and she's walking on these turtles. Here's the Seven of Wands. Really speaks to that kind of defensive energy of protecting yourself, protecting your family from outsiders that may not be part of your group or community. Page of Wands. I like the music aspect of this card where this fairy's playing the violin or some sort of instrument, and then there's these little creatures down here also playing and strumming along and beating the drum. Here's the Four of Pentacles with a dragon holding the pentacle. Six of Pentacles. It's a very cool interpretation of kind of using your resources to make a positive difference. Ace of Swords. I really like how this one's upsetting the normally beautiful kind of environment down here, kind of waking up all these swans, making a commotion in the midst of this normally beautiful atmosphere, almost like disrupting the system. Here's the Nine of Swords. I love the spiral in the sky and all the birds kind of flying up into this spiral. The Hierophant is like the old man in the tree. So he's literally the tree grasping onto his kind of old school symbolism, old school learned energy, and blossoming into this spectacular, beautiful tree. Here's the Hanged Man. I really like how there's figures in the tree, and this figure is even like kissing him or giving him energy through his face. And then also just the trapeze artist kind of pose that he is in the tree. And lastly, my Temperance card. I love the beautiful mix of the blue and the yellow. It's just very beautiful. All right, we're down to the last deck. This deck is a very interesting one to me. It fits perfectly in this time of year. It's a shadow work deck, which is very new to me. I don't do much shadow work, but this one will really help me delve into those aspects of myself. It is the Shadowland Tarot. This is perfect for this time of year, October. It has that spooky vibe, kind of Halloween, creepy art vibe, but really is intentionally made to delve deep into your shadows. So I found some cards. I've only been through this one again once or twice, but I found some cards that really showed that shadow aspect of each card, and I really kind of connected to this deck in my first couple walkthroughs. Here's the Four of Cups. I really like how the cat is thinking of themselves, worrying about things in their life. It just goes to that worried, almost anxious energy in the Four of Cups instead of the contentment, bored, typical energy of the Four of Cups. Here's the silly Page of Cups. I see the shadow aspect in this card because this fish creature person has a fish in the cup, just like the normal Rider-Waite-Smith, but then the fish has a worm in a cup, and so it kind of goes to that almost slippery slope of silliness, and like if you use your emotions just crazy and silly and don't take time to think about what your emotions are telling you, you fall into this slippery slope of silliness, and like it doesn't really do anything for you if you just go with your emotions. Here's a great Ace of Wands, another very creepy card, but it's this little figure sitting on this hand with a lit match, so they've clearly started this fire. This speaks to the spark of innovation might not always kind of lead you in that successful direction, or you should be careful again with going too far too fast with your initiative or your creative energy, because it might kind of burn what's already been built. So it's a very kind of dark, shadowy interpretation. Here's the Three of Wands. Again, this leads to the shadow interpretation of the Three of Wands that I saw going through the first time. So these sailors are going out on an adventure, which is kind of the typical interpretation of the Three of Wands, but then this tempting octopus is leading them on the trail, but it's getting deeper and deeper into the ocean, which is definitely not a path that these sailors want to take. So it's kind of, again, that be careful where your new adventures are leading you, and kind of take the time to think about, do you really want to go on that path? Do you really want to take that step for that new adventure, knowing that it may lead to darker places that you don't want to go? Here's a great Six of Wands. This is a different, unique interpretation again. Of course, we have this main figure celebrating their victorious energy. They are happy, they are proud of themselves, they've just gone through some great accomplishment. But as you can see in this card, when this person steps away, there is someone waiting right behind them, ready to celebrate their success, ready to celebrate maybe the same accomplishment. And then when that person steps away to the side, there's another person and another person and another person, all waiting to celebrate and all waiting for their moment in the spotlight. So this speaks to kind of enjoy your celebration, be proud of your accomplishments, but know that maybe you aren't the only one that was successful, or maybe there are other people you should acknowledge in your success that have also been part of your team in that success. So this is kind of take your 15 seconds of fame, but step aside and let someone else have it, or acknowledge that maybe in the very shadow aspect that maybe your accomplishments aren't as big as you think they are. And so kind of like keep striving to make more advances and more advances instead of settling in your success. Here's a great Ace of Pentacles. I really like this little figure looking up at this, like, wow, that is really overwhelming. That is just a huge undertaking that I'm not ready to do. How can I ever live up to that new energy, that new investment? How can I even think about saving for retirement when I can barely get by each month? It's just kind of that overwhelming aspect of the new investment energy of the Ace of Pentacles, and I really like that dark shadow side of that card. Here's the Six of Pentacles. My initial interpretation of this is that, I know I said I wasn't going to get into interpretations, but that's just what this video has become. So this is the Six of Pentacles. Normally that's like the sharing of energy, making a positive difference in your community card. But I really like how each generation or age of these characters are giving each other the same gift. So the oldest or the biggest characters in this card are giving each other a yellow present with a pink bow. The middle people are giving each other an apple, and these small tiny characters are giving each other tiny heart rainbow balloon or heart balloons, sorry. So this card really speaks to, even though you're exchanging energy and putting energy into the world, maybe it's not making a difference because you're getting that same energy back, and you really kind of need to figure out and direct your energy into different places, because right now nothing is changing when they're exchanging the exact same gift with each other. Here's a Three of Swords, just this cool kind of raven crow looking dude with his heart stabbed. I feel like that's just a unique interpretation. The creepy Nine of Swords, this kind of shows like a mobile or a kind of thing that spins around and makes music over a child's bed. But this is like the nightmare version, so it's a very dark, shadowy version of the Nine of Swords, even though that's already a shadowy card. I love this Chariot. My first impression of this was that you can't really tell exactly which direction this person is going because their hair is covering their entire face. So you could see it as they're going down this path into the distance, but the characters that are driving them or that they're riding on are facing towards you. So it's kind of like that going without planning, going without knowing where you're going, or letting the world take you on a journey that it doesn't even know where to go. Or you can see it as them facing towards you like the typical chariot, and that might be the correct or the intended interpretation because the feet are facing a little bit more forward. But I just like that kind of play on the chariot, that maybe it's going the other way and these characters are looking the wrong way and taking it in a place that it doesn't want to go to. Here's the Strength card. I really like this fun interpretation of the monster and the kind of frail little human girl being one individual but having the different aspects. The Moon, a very fun moon card, kind of intentionally taking this lobster or the subconscious with them, leading them down the road, and this moon is kind of disguised by the wolf or dog mask. And lastly is my Temperance card. I really like this interpretation of the skeleton bat. It has like the fire and the water, the really fun shoes. So that's my Temperance card of the Shadowland Tarot. Thank you so much for watching this entire video. I know it's become a longer one than I expected it to, and I got more interpretations that I expected to, but thank you for hanging out. If you have any decks that you want to highlight or you think would contribute to my collection, or you just want to share your favorite deck, please post those in the comments. I love hearing from my followers. Actually, just this morning, I got my 50th subscriber, 50 subscriber on YouTube. To me, that's a very amazing thing for me, that in the last month and a half, I've shown that 50 people want to follow me and see what I'm doing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Please subscribe if you're new here. Please like and comment on this video your favorite decks or decks that you really like. If you liked the decks in my collection, all of those links again will be in the description. As I said, all of them are available, I believe, at this time. The Sasuraitbito Tarot is the only one that may be limited stock. So thank you for watching, and until next time, this is what I'm talking about. This is life. You manage to be happy for 5 seconds, and then something starts ringing.